Love it. Hey, how's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to another awesome action-packed show we got for you. I'm your host, Carlos Tacos, and we have with us Miss Patty. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. Happy Thursday. Happy to
Happy
be
Thursday.
here.
Right. Full
Yeah, how are
moon
you?
tonight.
Yeah, first full moon of the year. Should be
Right.
an energetic and powerful evening.
Right. I know I told some people we're gonna have a different intro song tonight, but we'll wait till the surprise guest. Well, everybody knows who the guest is tonight, so
Yes.
when you hear, you'll know when he's about to come on. You'll hear the music, and then we'll pop him on, and yeah. So anyway,
the myth, the legend.
right? Oh yeah.
But we have some good things in store. I got some questions lined up. For many of us that voted, there are many folks that it's going to be their first time voting. And so, we got to provide this space and get to know our electeds and see where their minds are at. So I have a list of questions we can go over real quick of what we'll be asking the mayor. My fiance.
Right. Right. I'm like, wow.
That I didn't even get the invitation to my own wedding, but it's okay.
Right? You didn't get the invitation?
No, I didn't even get one. They know my address too.
Hold
the
on.
Crazies of Antioch.
Hey, check this out, everybody. She didn't get her own invitation. Look at this. We are thrilled to announce Patricia Granados and Lamar Thorpe are getting married Saturday, June 15th, 2024 at the Fellowship Baptist Church, 4873 Lone Tree Way, Antioch, California. Make sure you RSVP at that number that doesn't exist anymore. Right? Engagement party at City Hall happening Saturday, May 4th, 2024. I tell you, man, these people
creepy people.
Right.
They're creepy.
So we'll bring that up again when Lamar gets on here. But man, that is hilarious.
We're not getting married, okay, y'all. Con mucho respeto, he ain't my type.
Right.
But no, it's a prank, y'all. It's a prank. We'll talk about it. But
yeah, we'll talk about it. He was on, but we were like, nah, just because he was like driving back to his house, so he'll be home shortly, and then we'll in the meantime, y'all got to deal with us.
Yes.
But anyways, I thought that was hilarious. Somebody spent a nice amount of that was a nice little invitation, I got kind of like, really, they didn't even ask me to cater.
Oh, that's not cool, man. That's messed up.
Right? I'd have made some rice and beans so good for y'all. Yeah, we'd have been eating good that night. Nah.
Hey, but for all we know, like real talk, that could be a threat. Like legit. It could be a legitimate threat of something to go down on those dates. Like
right.
So I don't know. It's funny, but kind of spooky at the same time.
I know, right? Yeah. So who we got out in the who's all tuned in? Yeah, Thea, how you doing tonight?
Hey, community. Happy Thursday. Thank you for tapping in.
Happy Thursday. Yes. Any questions before we get started? And don't ask me anything about how to make this type of taco or that. That's another show. Right? What's the secret ingredient of your lumpaco seasoning? I can't tell you that.
Hey, Mayor Thorpe has it. He put it
Yeah,
on his story last
I
week.
know. I was like, what? He put
It
that
looks
on there. He's all
good.
dancing. Well,
And
what
the
did he make?
sopita, it was like sopita with caldo and
Yeah, I was like,
mm,
you go, man. I forgot he had some of my seasoning.
mm.
So man, it just goes everywhere. But anyways, yeah, that was cool to see that on Instagram. I was like, what? I even sold a bottle. All
Nice.
right. Oh, Melissa's on here too. Cool, cool. Hi, Melissa, Thea. Where's Sean at? Tell Sean to get on here too. And anybody else tonight? We're just gonna have a good time tonight, yo. This is gonna be fun. Uh,
Mhm.
how you been, Miss Patty? What's new with you besides the wedding?
Well, besides the wedding, you know, I tap in with I don't know if you know Miss Catherine Wade.
Yeah.
She was by Queenie Love, Malad Baldwin's mother. She's on my heart like all the time. We don't talk every day, but um, we talked today, and she knows that we're gonna have this, talking to Mayor Thorpe, and she asked we lift her name and her son Malad Baldwin's name, and even though we do this once a week. There's a lot of other community happenings and social justice that I got going on, and um, you know, but it's okay. Like that's my drive. Helping folks find their power, um,
Right.
know your rights, and really just any advice for advocacy. But I'm trying to get my life together.
See, you started your you got your oh my god, my mind just went blank.
My graphic design
Graphic
service.
design, yes. God, Carlos, where you? It's Thursday,
Yeah.
y'all. It's almost the weekend. So yeah, what's going on with that?
My setup is almost there. I have my heat press, my mug press, plate press, hat press.
Dang.
But I'm thinking I need another printer because I don't want to break one printer, like, because I want to have services available for folks that need on-demand printing, like 24 hours. You know how that is. Like I remember as a college student, um, I needed something printed if my printer was down, and then FedEx Kinko's is closed. But if there's students that may need something printed, and if I can be of service, that will be one of my services, to help print homework or paperwork. And I do have a van I'll be designing soon. It's like an old school beach type van. So that'll be a
Nice.
project. I have a friend with the voices of, well, her mission is to find and speak on missing people. So that's a logo that I'll be working on, which is cool. But yeah, how about you? What's up with you and your creative ventures? What's your most recent uh design, like, project with the I love the ones that you did with the flag and the resin, like over the wood.
Oh, like all these ones? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. They're cool. I stopped. I got a bunch of projects I still got to do. It's just like I'm like all I got is that. So I'm like,
Mm,
and I got some done already.
mm,
Some Dia de los Muertos ones,
mm,
and I don't know which ones to put up. I printed maybe close to 100 photos.
mm,
And I'm only limited to just three more pictures, and then that's it. So
mm.
I'm like, which one should I do? I don't know.
I do want to gift Mayor Thorpe one of my art pieces. Thank you for reminding me because I did print. I actually want to give one to. I'll make two other copies, but one for Monica Wilson, one for Tamish Torres Walker, and one for Lamar. I'll be right back. I gotta show you this.
Uh-oh.
Un momento.
All right, she's coming back, yo. Hope she comes back. Uh-oh. I wish I had a TikTok sound effect, right? No. But anyways, yeah, guys, I finished 3 projects, but I don't feel they should go up there. So I'm like thinking we'll see what I actually gotta they're right here, but
Mm.
we'll see. The Jeopardy sound. I know, right? That's Alex Trebek. Yep. The Jeopardy's there. Yep. That would have been yeah. Next week I'll have that. I put a couple of sound effects on here already, but nah, I'm gonna save those for later when the mayor jumps on. So
Mhm,
big
mhm,
shout out to Street Fishing Ministries out there,
mm,
doing God's work on these streets, hitting the streets hard. And if you don't know about him, check out his YouTube channel, Street
mm,
Fishing Ministries. If you don't know, you better ask somebody.
mhm.
So let's see the artwork that you got.
So during the protests of 2020, well, remember George Floyd was murdered,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what activated me. I mean, it's late to the movement of things, but these were the things that I printed a bunch of posters.
Oh, that's nice.
I printed a few. Someone asked me to go paint this as a mural on her on her fence. But at the time, I was working and no, doing schoolwork in my studies. But it was very relevant
Right,
to Antioch. Antioch set the example. I still stand by that.
right. Wait, you paint too?
I do paint too, yeah.
What? Oh
But
man.
not like I mean, it'd take a minute. I could do something like this, but I did this in, graphic
Yeah,
Photoshop and stuff.
yeah.
But I have
Mm.
a few paintings, oil, acrylics, watercolor. I want to get back to it. I don't. I one day I'll have space.
I know, right?
Working
Oh
on it.
man.
Working on it. Got to get my little heat press established. Because I'm ready. I'm ready to design. I have projects exclusive to nonprofits, community people, no
Right.
supremacists or hateful people.
Right.
Yeah. So
Well,
yeah.
if you're just tuning in, we got the mayor of Antioch, Lamar Thorpe, about to come on here in a little bit, and we're just talking real quick, shooting the breeze. Anybody got any questions in the comments before we start? Street fishing, Thea, Melissa, anybody else that's hopped on right now? And then we look over here. You ever see people they'll ask questions, especially on TikTok, then they'll go like this. Sorry.
I know what you're talking.
I got makeup. What? No. Mary Lutz. All right. Our first heckler. Where's the ban button at? No, I'm just kidding. Love you, Mary.
So we have some questions. If anybody has any things to throw in, feel free. But we want to know about the mayor. We want to know his work experience.
Oh,
Um, want to
that's
know what
another one.
motivates him.
Right?
Challenges he's faced. I could tell you a few that he's faced. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
like what keeps him going because the crazies went after him.
Right.
His life, like, yeah. What is
Oh, we got a question.
why where's the yellow tie?
Yeah, we'll ask him that. Yeah. He's getting on in a minute here. That's so funny. But yeah, so we're just having fun. We're just having fun. Thank you all for tuning in. Thea, your battery's at 10%, so make sure you charge it. It just came on my we got that 360 app. They're like, how you know, Carlos? Yeah. So do they have this is a good question here. Do they have any plans to clean up Sycamore?
Mm.
I know he had went over there and he had in the past. I know he did something, and then I know he does a back to school drive right there on Sycamore at
Mhm.
the liquor store right there every year. But
Mhm.
yeah, those are good questions. We're gonna ask him.
And then what does clean up Sycamore mean, because there's communities that live there. There's kids that go to school. By clean up, do you mean clean up like maybe crime, or clean up litter, all of it?
Right.
Because that's a whole community. That's a whole community.
Because I know on sorry. I know that Rika with she has a shower ministry program that she
Mhm.
does every Tuesday and Thursday at the COC. I know she's there on Saturday morning, and then she has a crew that go and they clean up the area.
Okay.
So
It's a
yeah,
community. It takes a community.
the need crosswalks. They need crosswalks.
Mm.
Yeah, they do, and the ones that they have there are real faded too. They sure do need to be touched up. And maybe
Mm.
get some lights right there too. So there's a huge area right there where it's just a lot of children. The sycamore, the lemon tree, pepper tree. Yeah, a lot of kids out there.
JJ's fish fry right there is popping. I love their
Oh shoot!
food.
Got a restaurant review. Check out
Fried
JJ.
okra is very good. I love okra, fried oysters, fried chicken,
Everything
fried
fried.
shrimp. They have it going on. Um,
Yeah, Mary says that's what I'm worried about, the kids. Yeah, maybe get a light system set up there like they got in front of Antioch High when the students cross the street. We do the security all over there. Oh, this is street fishing says, and PD has no control. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
These are important questions. Yeah, ask the mayor. So, which he'll
Mhm.
be popping up soon. Lamar, where is? I'm gonna text him. No, just kidding. Or a
Mhm.
crossing guard. Yeah,
I got my questions rolled up. Yeah, the police can only do so much. But honestly, I mean, I don't know if that'd be the right thing because they terrorized those families for many years. By
yeah.
terrorize, I mean like they went into their homes and tore things up. And I met them,
Who's
the
that? The
kids.
police?
hmm
Oh
When they
yeah,
were planting drugs, arresting folks without warrant. Yeah, they did a lot of shady stuff. That like there were federal lawsuits also, because of the families getting targeted. Yeah, there were some civil rights violations back in the day, and then with where we are now with the current civil rights violations, yeah, the police would probably be the last folks to have any business there. Security for sure. Like maybe I've seen a community security there. I've seen that. I've seen an education center, like a computer space in that plaza. Hopefully it's still there. But the community,
right,
yeah, they did say brown, black and brown. They said Hispanics they kill more Hispanics than black folks. They said something like that in their text messages. So
right,
yeah. I'm down for community, anything else.
right. And
That
then
does just
Mary's asking if they could even tow the cars that aren't working or illegally parked.
Mhm.
So yeah, these are all really good questions. So as soon as the mayor pops on, we can ask him. Which would be, like I said, folks, listen for the music. You'll know the music. So
I'm gonna write those notes down about so we were talking about cleaning up Sycamore
yeah, cleaning up
or
Sycamore. Maybe we'll ask those first and then
okay.
get into the good question. Or no, I mean they're all good questions. We'll get into the other questions.
And
Um,
crosswalks.
right,
Do you have any
crosswalks.
plans for more crosswalks and lights? That'd be
Right,
good. There's trails around parks that need a lot of love too, especially like the one over there on Gentrytown behind Parkview Village Apartments. Those
right,
trails are so not walker stroller friendly. And there's hella families that live in that community. Like
right,
if they could improve all the parks in the city of Antioch and raise it to the standard of the new one that's up here off of Pruitt, no, beyond Pruitt, um, is really nice. Like
yeah,
it's really nice, and I think every neighborhood in Antioch deserves a park like that. Um, who knows how much it would cost, but they can reallocate funds from the militarized police vehicle and whatnot and give it back to the community. That would be a great example of
Hold
reallocating.
on. Do you hear that? Hey.
Oh boy.
It's my fiance.
Hey.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thanks for joining us.
I was waiting for that.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here.
Happy to have you.
Yes, thank you for being on the show. So,
Absolutely.
all right, Miss Patty, you got some questions from the audience.
Yeah.
I don't even know where. Do we start with that, or do we talk about?
Well, let's introduce our
Okay.
community. Hey, folks. Meet our alcalde, our mayor, Mayor Hernandez Thorpe.
Yes.
Congrats on the name change. We read about how to honor your family and your adoptive parents that raised you. So we're happy to see that name change. And so, community, this is our mayor. If you haven't met him yet,
El Jefe, I call him.
see. So we're gonna have some questions for you, Mayor Thorpe. I asked him if I could send him the questions, and he's like, nope. So he's on the fly, and that's what.
Right. He has no idea.
So tell us about yourself, Mayor Thorpe, for the folks that are their first time voting, don't know anything about you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know there's a lot of amazing things, but go ahead.
Well, first, you and I are not getting married.
Yeah.
I think that's important for folks to know.
Right, no, right.
But well, sure. Briefly, I am the 41st mayor of the city of Antioch, and as you know, Antioch is one of the oldest cities in California, and so it's a great honor to serve as its mayor. And I'm also always proud to share. And some people misinterpret me sharing this as something to brag about, but it's not that I'm bragging. It's just that it speaks to the changes of our city. I'm the only mayor who's earned as the highest number of votes of any mayor in the 150 plus year history of the city of Antioch. No one's ever earned as many votes as I have. And I'm proud of that because it speaks to the changing demographics and changing diversity of our community, that we strive to continue to become a more inclusive community where everybody, whether you're from the Bay Area, whether you're from other parts of California or throughout the United States. I came here from a town of 5,000 people in Cheverly, Maryland. And whether you're an immigrant to our country, Antioch continues or is building a community that's inclusive and welcoming to everybody. So from where you may be nationally to our LGBTQ plus community, everybody's welcome in the city of Antioch. And it's no longer a city that just a few individuals get to say that this is our home. This is everybody's home.
Yeah. No, absolutely. We're very diverse. Folks, there's a small group of people that refer to Antioch as their town, and they had a lot of campaigns to get activists and advocates out of their town. But this is our town, and that's what makes our city so beautiful. So yes, thank you for that. How about any work experience that you'd like to share within government? Any past experience? Military. We have a military brother, y'all. Mayor Thorpe is a Navy veteran.
Navy.
Yep. Yes.
I am a proud Navy veteran.
Yeah.
Served 8 years, 5 on active duty, and then 3 in the reserves while I was a student at George Washington University. And but my professional training is as a higher education administrator. When I was working on my graduate degree, I was a presidential fellow at GW, and I was assigned to the University Advancement Office. So I traveled the country to raise money on behalf of George Washington University. So that's my formal training. And so most of my career has been in higher education administration as a development officer.
Awesome. Outstanding. Education is key, y'all. Our educational institutions, and so that's amazing work. How about advocacy experience? I feel like when I think of advocacy, I've seen you a lot and different actions around for healthcare workers, for our Black Lives Matter folks. Yeah, tell us about that, your advocacy, community experience, and doing that kind of
Well,
work.
believe it or not, and sometimes people get confused because I wear suits and ties, and sometimes it feels like it's some people are in competition to want to be the loudest voice in terms of being uh, and a community activist. I was born into community activism. I was raised in East Los Angeles, God Los Tacos knows where, in El Sereno. When I was growing up, they wanted to build, Caltrans was going to build a freeway that connected the 710, which is the Long Beach Freeway in Los Angeles, from where I was growing up in El Sereno to South Pasadena and Pasadena. And so that portion of the freeway was never completed. But by then, communities had been created. And so when they were going to build this freeway, the plans were to demolish my community in East Los Angeles. And then when they got to South Pasadena, very affluent South Pasadena, they were going to go underground to preserve historical homes in South Pasadena and in Pasadena. And we were like, our homes look exactly the same. Why is it that here in the majority Mexican community of El Sereno would we just demolish homes, and the very affluent white communities of South Pasadena and Pasadena get to keep their homes as historical preservation? And so that's what I was born into. And so I was an activist fighting against the 710 extension as a middle school student, as a high school student. So I've always kind of had a very activist streak to me. And then of course I grew up in California during Proposition 187, when many of our parents got activated, many in the Latino community got activated because we thought that proposition was just racist and specifically targeted Latino immigrants. And when it passed, a lot of us were, here I am, this Black kid in East Los Angeles, being raised by Mexicans, thinking that the INS buses were going to show up and round kids up and send them back to Mexico. That's the type of fear that we had. But so I've always had an activist streak to me. I am an activist. I've always been proud of that. And so that's what has always, so when I go to these, demonstrations, I've always been on the side of workers, and I don't cross picket lines. I respect those. And so I do my best to maintain my roots.
No, definitely. I've seen you in action, and I think that's what makes you a good leader, being out with the people. Let's see. What challenges have you faced as the mayor of Antioch? I know there's a lot, but what would be the biggest challenges for you that you've experienced in your role as the mayor?
Well, I'm going to ask you define challenge.
Maybe something that's so complex and it's out of your hands. Like when there's something, when your hands are tied, like or anything that's trying to slow you down, or trying to like impede your I guess work, and anything that's been a barrier to your work as a leader.
I think bureaucracy in and of itself is just a barrier. And so you got to work through and navigate through those barriers. I don't want to confuse challenges. I think those can be challenges. I don't want to give credence to individuals who don't deserve any of my attention, because they just don't. The reality is that the bureaucracy creates challenges. It's hard to navigate. It's difficult to navigate. But there is a framework in which you work from. There's space in which you can traverse. And sometimes you get close to the line of where you're not supposed to be, but as long as you don't cross that line, you're good to go. But that can give people anxiety and trepidation, because we're not used to always getting as close to the line as we might feel comfortable. And so I'll give you an example. Running master leasing the hotel on 18th Street, not Delta Landing, Opportunity Village. That cities don't run hotels. Cities don't do homeless services. That's just not in the nature of what we do. But it doesn't mean cities can't expand their portfolio of the services that they offer. And so we decided to go in that direction, and it was hard. It was difficult. Not everybody within City Hall was agreeable to what we were doing, and it seemed like out of character, out of nature. But we eventually got through it. It was challenging, but it certainly didn't stop us from doing what we needed to do, as long as we followed the rules and whatever is prescribed to get there. So now we do things that most cities just don't do. We have a Department of Public Safety and Community Resources. We're the only city that runs a community crisis response team here in Contra Costa, and so we're doing things that are out of the normal portfolio of what a city would do, especially a city of our size. So we're pretty proud of that, and we were able to navigate through those challenges.
Yes, complex indeed. Thank you for shedding light on that. Next question: what motivates you when you get out and you're getting ready for your day, or if you're going to city council? What motivates you?
The mayor's role is very unique because everybody thinks that the mayor can solve every single problem. And so from your own personal life to, policy objectives, people come to me with everything. And so I try my best to help. I'm not always helpful because there are just things that are outside of my control. But I think what motivates me is meeting people and understanding their stories and, and giving them the opportunity to know who their mayor is, and allowing me to kind of help them with their problems. And so hearing the stories, listening to people, I've said it before, I'll say it again, ever since Angelo Quinto's mom had her press conference in front of her home, and I went there and visited with them afterwards, and I embraced her. I tried my best to ensure that I show up to as many moments in which people aren't having the best day or the best year or the best next few years, to try to lend a hand or embrace or just show them some type of moral support and show them that I see them. And so those are the stories that I think that motivate me to continue to do what I do. Or else it's so easy to succumb to the bureaucracy, and it's so easy to succumb to all of the negativity that exists around us.
Another family member, Miss Catherine Wade, she's always expressed her concern for many years, and all of her concerns fell on deaf ears. I saw the ones from 2014, but over time and with the right folks that we elected, I believe if folks did not vote as such, she would not have gotten the justice or validation of the trauma that she endured since the text messages of the police some of them came out, but she needed that. She's still looking for closure, of course, as many other families, but it's important. I've heard them, and I know that you actively listen. As counsel, you all are there, and folks keep speaking up, so thank you for that. Next question: did you know, I'm sure you know that the Antioch Railroad is set to close? Like, it's closing, and I heard recently that it was under our former city manager that signed off on it. And did you know about that? What do you think of that? Is there a way that we can not cut off that access to working families and folks that use that as their transportation system? I just see it like as a small form of oppression, but if you could tell us your thoughts.
Well, of course I do know. I did not know before I knew, which is not good. And that speaks to a culture at City Hall where, elected officials are an afterthought. And elected officials just show up to 2 meetings a month, vote on things, and then go home. And, the rest of the bureaucracy does what they want to do, which is I'm just not for that. We were elected and we have a job to do. So I did not know before I knew. And when I found out, I made it my business to go down to the San Joaquin Joint Powers Authority to advocate to keep the Amtrak station open. I almost got my way in the first vote. I got enough people to say, no, we need to put this on hold for now. And then, you know, as typical, they when they realized that they actually didn't get majority support to close down the Amtrak station, they took a recess, and then they took some guy out back. And then next thing you know, he came back and changed his vote. And next thing you know, now we don't have a train station. So, you know, I made the case for Antioch. I think it's this, you know, this was years in the making. And I always knew Oakley was working towards a new Amtrak station. I didn't realize that it was at the expense of Antioch. There are things that I have voted on, myself and Councilwoman Wilson have voted on to support the Oakley train station. We didn't realize that we were voting in a way that would then be detrimental to the city of Antioch. It seems like just any old Amtrak station, but that means we then lose out on opportunities for grant funds and federal dollars that that would create like transit-oriented development communities here in Antioch, because then we will no longer have a mass transit area in downtown. And that's, you know, an under-resourced community, that area. And so it's very unfortunate that now people who are under resources, or communities that are under resourced, don't have the opportunity to apply for the types of grants and federal funding that exist if there were mass transit access.
Okay.
And so I, you know, I mean, the Joint Authority made it clear to me that under the previous city manager, Ron Burnell, that he made the decision or went along with their decision. I had a conversation with Ron after I went and made my case to the Joint Powers Authority. He says, no, that's not how it was. So I don't know who to believe. But what I do know is that no one ever brought that decision to the city council. We never voted on it. We never got input. We never said anything. But the people who were involved in these conversations who did, and kept us in the dark.
And this is why we need to know who our electeds are, how the decisions are being made, because of things like this, community. So you heard it.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Next question. It has to do with houselessness, but I know what you did for our community, and that's including all of the community advocates, and that was providing the space, project, was it Project Home Key, with the hotel, and providing that shelter. So that was great. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that's Opportunity Landing. That's that's through our own money. That's not state money. That's Antioch money being put to use to house our neighbors without houses.
Yeah, beautiful. Because there are folks that see them as less than human. So thank you for making that happen. Okay, what is your outlook on, let's see, housing insecurities and rent ordinances? Okay, just FYI, back into our community, there's landlords that are raising rents on families. There are landlords that find ways to harass and intimidate families. There are landlords that unjustly evict folks. And Antioch passed some historic votes to set a rent cap to prevent landlords from harassing tenants, which is, other cities are behind on that, but Antioch led that. What else do you think about any other rent ordinances? I know just cause for eviction is a topic. One of my friends from Parkview Village, he's en route to possibly being evicted because they're raising his rent unjustly, but it was after he was seeking help about a leak. And it's just crazy. Like, the more and more that I meet with families and hear their stories, there's some urgency to that. But is there any other protections or that you could see in the future to support families facing evictions?
Well, we passed rent stabilization. That's something people did not see coming by any stretch of the imagination. And I remember when I ran for city council in 2016, and I got into it with a council member he was not a council member at the time, but he was part of the Delta Real Estate Association. We got into it about rent stabilization. And it was funny because I was like, this is what I believe. And he made his case about what he believed. And now, like, well, hey, and this was an interview for them to endorse me and give me money.
Dang.
And I said, I'm going to make myself very clear. Whether you give me money or not, I don't really care. I believe in this. And if it ever came forward for a vote, this is what I'm going to vote for. And interestingly enough, they did give me money for my campaign.
Wow.
And interestingly enough, when it was my turn to control the agenda as the mayor of Antioch, I brought forward rent stabilization, and we made it happen. So I was pretty proud of that. And in addition to that, we did, we've considered Councilwoman Wilson and Councilwoman Torres Walker's proposals for anti-tenant harassment policy, which we passed. And then now we're considering just cause eviction that they had proposed. And so I hope that we can get to a point where we can pass these. As you know, the city is literally tied up with a host of legal matters, which has put a lot of ordinances. It's not just cause, but a lot of ordinances kind of at the bottom of the list because our legal department has just been consumed, overtaken with a host of legal matters related to the police department. So it's been challenging, and I wish we could get things ahead, but I'm trying to be as patient as possible because I recognize what's happening, and I don't want to dismiss what's happening. This is very serious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. On that note, could I ask you any questions about the investigation into the police department?
So, before you get into another topic, I want to add about the protections for renters.
Yeah.
For a long time, for decades, these issues have existed. These are not one day people didn't wake up and say, oh, I happen to have mold, and oh, I happen to be harassed by my landlord. Oh, the rent is skyrocketing. This has been happening for decades. And for decades, people who have served on our city council, for decades, people who have served as the mayor have been perfectly content with what's been happening. Our city staff has been content with what's been happening. All these measures that I'm talking about have been city council led. City council led. In the past, most of the agendas on even when I was on the city council, most of the agenda was led by unelected bureaucrats in City Hall, not by the people you were voting for. And so, a lot of what you see in relation to discontent with some folks related to City Hall is related to we've turned the status quo on its head. And we don't allow ourselves to be led by the bureaucracy. We lead the bureaucracy.
People over profit, y'all.
Well, I don't think I wouldn't say that it's people over profit. I think it's just, Antioch in the course of its history has grown double its size every couple of decades. In the 1990s, we're like a city of 40,000, 50,000 people, maybe. Now we're 120,000 people, and that's in 3 decades. And so things, maybe when we were a city of 20 or 30 or 40, 50, 60, 70,000 people, it was okay just to go to show up to be an elected official, show up to 2 meetings a month and say this is enough. But that's not the case anymore. And in particular, given the diversity of the residents who live here, there are people who live here from San Francisco, Oakland. I grew up in Los Angeles. We grew up in major cities where your government is ultimately accountable, not the bureaucrats. And I don't say bureaucrats I'm a bureaucrat. My whole career has been in higher education administration as a bureaucrat. I don't say that as a bad thing. I just say that to distinguish between who is elected to lead the city and who is elected to administer the city on behalf of those who are elected to lead the city.
No, these things matter. Thank you for shedding light on that. Next question. What does guaranteed income mean to you?
Well, it's a topic that I've heard a lot about. I haven't really sat down and really taken the opportunity to really study the issue as I should. I was in Washington, D.C., and I got a chance to talk to former Mayor Tubbs of Stockton, who's championing this across the country. And he's reached out a few times for us to get together to talk about guaranteed income. And so has our friends in Monument Impact over in Concord. So, that's something that I'll be taking a look at. But just on the surface, from what I understand, it seems to be a program that whose results are proving that when you give people money and they're in challenging circumstances, they're going to use it so that they can get themselves out of those circumstances. And so it's something worth noting and worth our time, I think.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Next question. What does public safety mean to you?
Well, public safety, for me, means a lot of things. I mean, I think the city is in the business of public safety, whether it's public works, whether it's the police department, whether it's parks and recreation. We all have a role to play in public safety. And, whether it's a speed bump on the street, whether it's making sure that environmentally we design our streets and our landscaping in a way that keeps people away from, dangerous intersections and they can comfortably walk down the street. If it's ensuring that we have a proactive police department, preventing crime from happening, being engaged in the community, or a department like the Department of Public Safety and Community Resources that provides direct services to our residents. To me, that's all public safety.
Excellent, because we had a viewer earlier mention Sycamore and what can be done about it, and they mentioned like crosswalks, more streetlights.
Well, we are doing that. We approved money. We did approve money. We approved like $500,000, and that was something myself and Councilwoman Torres Walker championed. And it was funny because I had it on the agenda one time for the money to after those 3 third graders were hit by the car. 1 passed away and 2 are now not the same as they used to be, unfortunately. Happened. So we put that on the agenda. And to my surprise, when I got back, I didn't get to go to the meeting, but it seemed like a no-brainer to me. Tamisha tells me, oh, they voted to do something somewhere else. And I'm like, what? The whole point was Sycamore. So I had to bring it back. We got Sycamore in there. We got 10th Street and we got James Donlin in there. So we've invested over $1.5 million I think it's $2.5 million to add traffic calming devices and in those streets.
Yeah, I think that's a great investment. A lot of lives will get saved. Those are definitely hot zones. So thank you for addressing that.
Sycamore continues to be a challenge, and Sycamore is a tough. Sometimes laugh. I'll get tagged, or people will send me screenshots of what that blog says that stirs up the racist in our community. And they'll put, look, he had a press conference a year ago, and look, it's still the same. It's like, this is decades in the making. Who said that?
No.
Yeah, so there's folks that love to blame the African American elected officials. It's a pattern of behaviors that they've done for a very long time. Victims facing forms of harassment, recalls, getting blamed for crime, getting blamed for all of these things. So it's a real thing. But at least it's getting addressed. Looks like we lost our mayor for a little bit. Maybe he'll hop back on.
I think he's trying to I know, where'd he go? I think he's trying to use his he hung up. He's gonna he'll be back.
Okay.
Just give him a minute, y'all. But yeah, so I know you guys are asking questions in the comments, and we're gonna get to these questions. They're texting me. I'm like,
what do they want to know?
We're gonna
no cheese mess, okay?
All right, we're gonna go over an hour, obviously. So we'll get to your questions, and I know Thea, we'll get to your questions, okay? And then Stu Fishing.
4 more.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Let's see. Dun, 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 dun.
Welcome back.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about the public safety and the investment on these dangerous roads. So.
Yeah, so we're making investments in some of these dangerous streets. We are.
Awesome. Okay, if you had a budget, the funding, where would you prioritize it? Like, we have a lot of needs in Antioch, but let's say, I don't know, top 3 in community things. Or I've seen the budget for the police department years ago, and I hope that kind of is getting reallocated. That's my goal and my dream. But where could funding go? Where would our city invest, make big investments?
Homelessness. We gotta house people.
All right. Yeah.
No, it's detrimental to everybody, not just the people who are on the streets, because it creates such an environmental challenge for the city. And human feces, the batteries, the oil, all of that has, it's not just dangerous for people who find themselves in the worst of conditions, but it's dangerous for the community. And then, as you know, Antioch is the only city that pumps directly from the Delta. And so a lot of these, when it rains, as an example, as it's been raining, where do you think all that stuff goes? Well, it goes right into the stormwater drains, into our creeks and whatnot. And then it goes right into the Delta. And then guess what? There's the intake valve that the city then pumps the water back into our system with, we clean it and we serve it, in the best quality that we can. But just the idea of, the types of water that we're pumping, that's not good.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I think that's great. Next question. What would an African-American holistic center look like to you?
I don't know what it would look like. I've heard the concept, and I know some folks at Genesis Church are working on something, but beyond someone briefly telling me about it and do I support it or not, and I'm like, well, I haven't even studied the issue, so I would. I don't know.
Okay, that's fair. Last question for me is, what would you say to people who think that their votes don't matter?
Talk to Tamisha Walker and ask her if their votes don't
matter. That was a close. That was like less than 10 or less than 30.
3 votes.
Oh, 3 votes. Oh.
3 votes. 3 votes.
I remember that. That was stressful. But wow,
yeah, and then we had to go back out after the election to go find the votes. So it wasn't that she had, we had to go find more votes from people who had issues with their ballots. So what they called it curing the vote. And me and Tamisha were out there knocking on doors together, getting people to give us their, like, hey, sign this thing here and get your ballot back in there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shoot. I have something I want to gift to you. I want to gift a copy to Councilwoman Monica Wilson and Mayor Pro Tem Tamisha Torres Walker. And this is dear to me because in 2020 I made some posters. You came through to one of the actions, but I'm going to read it to you. It's say their names, acknowledge systemic racism and police brutality, improve police ethics, update police hiring procedures, and Antioch to set the example. So I think that Antioch has set the example with the right leadership. So I want you to have this, and just maybe
we are setting the example. We are setting the example in more ways than one. We're setting the example. It's been challenging. It's been difficult work. But I think, we were elected in 2020, and I firmly believe that we were elected with kind of a social justice bent. And I don't think it was by coincidence. And I even now more so don't think it was by coincidence after seeing Tamisha and Monica win. And so I think, I always remind Tamisha Torres Walker, like, the voting demographics of District 1 is predominantly white. And so for anyone who, when I hear people say certain things, I'm like, Tamisha's district is predominantly white as it relates to the voting demographics. And so that means the social consciousness of our European brothers and sisters is awakened. And so we all recognize what's been happening in this country. No one's a fool or blind to that. And so unless you live under a rock and you believe, things that blogs say, and if that's the case, well, then I feel sorry for you. But the reality is that most of us live in reality, and we see what we see, we experience what we experience, and to try to put voodoo in people's face and say, no, what you're seeing is not what you're seeing is just silly.
Nice.
Yeah. Well said. Actions have spoken louder than the negative words, I believe.
Right.
Love will conquer, and all the hateful folks.
Well, that's the name of our mural on A over by the Jack in the Box.
Okay.
Nice.
Love conquers all.
Right. I didn't know that. Right. Yes. That's
shout out Big Herm who drew that. Did that.
Well, shout out to him who drew that, but shout out to Councilwoman Wilson. She led the effort to bring murals. We never even thought about murals until she said, this is what we do. And so, and she picked the location and everything. And so I'm exceptionally proud of her leadership in that regard.
Right. We, the audience, they've been waiting patiently. We got a few questions. They got a few questions for you. So we're just going to go ahead and pop one up here. And why is everybody at the hotel on 18th Street being placed out of the city like Stockton or Pittsburgh?
I don't know that to be the case, but next week we're going to have a meeting with the Public Safety and Community Resources Department, and a subject that we will be discussing will be opportunity landing, to look at some of the data to see where we're at. Hasn't been an exact year yet, so we're still, the data will be kind of premature, but we at the end of the day we're accountable for this, so we'll be looking at how we've been placing people, where they've gone after that. And whatnot. So, but again, we haven't even been open a year, so should be interesting data to look at.
Okay, that's like the next question though too. Were the Antioch homeless that are in Delta Landing are being allowed to be placed back in Antioch?
I wouldn't know that, because again, we haven't been open a year, and so next week we'll have our opportunity to speak to the operator. And we'll be able to ask some of these questions and look at very premature data, because again, we haven't even existed for a year.
Right. All right. Here's another one here. How can churches in Antioch help the city?
By some of our churches, I'm grateful for all of our churches, but I when it comes to the least of these in our community, there are some churches that I think need to step it up a little more when it comes to feeding those who are hungry, and those who need clothing, those who need housing. And so our churches can be helpful by embracing some of the policies that make it possible for them to provide shelter for people now. During the winter months, during the day, it would be nice if some of our churches left their doors open as warming centers. And if they need money from the city, ask us, hey, this is what it takes for me to leave my doors open when it's raining and when it's cold for our friends on the street to be indoors. Provide us food or something, or provide us blankets, or provide us some money so we can hire people to monitor these spaces as we keep our friends out of the cold. I'm open to those suggestions. And I wish more of our churches did that, because it would be an easy solution to a lot of what we see out on the streets.
Right. Let's see. So they want to know what happened to the trailers the governor gave the city. Why are they not being used, at least to house families with kids, instead of sitting empty somewhere?
Well, they're not sitting empty. As a matter of fact, as we were working to try to place them at the hotel, that was the whole idea with leasing Opportunity Landing, which is it had that empty lot. and we thought we could place the trailers there. Unfortunately, I forget what disaster just happened, because we've had so many in Northern California where they had to take the trailers back to house people who had been displaced. I think it was from fires. Oh, the fires. Yes, the fires. And so they took the trailers back to house them.
Nice.
So they are in use, just not
They
here
are
now.
in use. Okay. Last question. That Thea wants to know that you still move the homeless around without offering shelter beds. Please inform us how many people that have gone to the hotel on 18th Street and how many are housed.
So do we move around? We're constantly moving people, and it's unfortunate, but it's the fact of life in any city. If you're blocking the sidewalk, we have to move folks. If you're on private property, the property owner is responsible for what then happens, and generally they're going to give you notice, and you have to move on. And yes, in some instances there isn't any help, there isn't any housing. So we do our best to coordinate with the county, so that when we do move folks, we give them the opportunity to go somewhere else. I don't think that I know that doesn't happen every single time. I would be lying to you if I believe that did. I don't think it does, because even if they did, there's not enough shelter for them to go. So anybody who said, anyway, it doesn't matter, but I know that there isn't enough shelter. Our Opportunity Landing has like a 200-person wait list now. So, the moment somebody moves out, someone's moving right in. So there's just not enough. And it's important to remind folks that unlike Central Contra Costa County and unlike Western Contra Costa County, there are still no homeless shelters in East County. There is still no warming center in East County. There's only a hotel run by the county in Pittsburgh that's transitional housing. So its focus and its mission is completely different than a shelter or a warming center. And there is nothing like that in Antioch, Brentwood, Oakley, or Pittsburgh.
Dang. Wow. Good to know. Wait, I have a last question.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
Can we count on you to keep leading the ship in Antioch? Are you running? Are you running? Are you rerunning for elections? Can you tell us yet if you are or not?
Well, I think I'll make my decision when it's appropriate to make my decision. Right now, what I am doing is preparing the groundwork to see if it makes sense to run in June. And once I've determined or set things in place where I feel like, okay, I can run a strong reelection campaign, I'll make my announcement as to whether or not I'll be running for reelection.
Cool.
Mary Lutz says, please.
Lead the ship. Lead us.
Right? Man.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mayor Thorpe, for taking the time. Mayor Hernandez Thorpe.
That is my name, Hernandez Thorpe.
So your full name is Lamar A. Hernandez Thorpe. The A stands for?
Anthony.
Nice. Okay.
Yes, I was named after my mom's older brother who came back from Vietnam as a heroin addict, as many Vietnam vets did. And he eventually, she discovered him dead, overdosed on heroin. And so that's something that she never forgot about. You can never forget about anything like that. So when she had me, she wanted to honor her brother in that way.
That's beautiful.
Respect. Well, people are saying this was a really good show. Yeah, I have to agree with you guys. Mayor, we thank you for your time. You know what? Hold on real quick. I downloaded this sound because I wanted to use it. I'm going to use it right now. Here we go. There we go. Sorry, I'm like, I'm going to use this, and then we started late, and then dang. So I used it, so I feel better now. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I've got to have the DJ remix sounds. Jack of all trades.
Right.
DJ Taco.
Yeah, I know. Huh? So,
Love it.
anyways, thank you, Mayor, for being on the show, taking your time and addressing some of the concerns the audience had asked, and Miss Patty asked you, we do appreciate the work that you do, and Miss Patty, thank you for asking some really good questions, and Thea, thank you, and Brother Ezekiel with the Street Fisher Ministry, hitting these streets out here, sharing the gospel. So,
right on. Thank you, Carlos, for providing the space.
Oh,
and the community can talk.
Before we leave, I showed this earlier. The Carlos Taco Show. We give a little brief description about who we are. A little paragraph, I think, of me and Miss Patty. But what I wanted this website for was for the resources, and I've got a bunch of resources on there to help with housing, with food. There's even one on. These are all East Bay area. The East Bay right here. Immigration. If you need help with immigration, so check it out. We're gonna update it. If you have a nonprofit that you want me to put, just send it to me at caguilar925@yahoo.com. And I'll put it, or message me on Facebook, because I use that mostly. I have an Instagram, but I'm on Facebook more.
Yes.
I thought about something as I was as you were saying the resources and whatnot. I do want to say I was last week I was at the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and it's when all these mayors from across the nation come together. They have a winter meeting and a summer meeting. I've never gone. This was my first time going, and I regret not going in the past because it was very valuable for me. But I do want to share, because I think sometimes it feels like Antioch is on an island by itself, where some folks just think that things that may happen here is so unique to Antioch that it can't possibly be happening everywhere else. The beauty of the U.S. Conference of Mayors is that you get to sit with mayors of any size in work groups discussing the challenges of our days. Homelessness is not unique to Antioch. It's not unique to the Bay Area. It's not unique to California. It is happening in every single city throughout our country. It's not unique to California. Housing affordability, the sticker price may look low in different parts of the country, but your income earning potential is lower. And so people are still living paycheck to paycheck in other parts of the country, including Texas. And so the increases in crime that we're seeing related to property crime and car thefts across the country, universal. In California, we've heard people blame AB 109 and Prop 47 for the types of the smash and grabs and all that. There are other states who haven't changed these laws, and they're experiencing the same thing. So I was blown away by the level of similarities and these are Republican mayors saying this, these are Democrat mayors saying this, these are independent mayors saying this. We're all seeing some of the same similarities across the country. It's not just an Antioch thing. It's not just a Bay Area thing. It's not just a California thing. These things are taking place nationwide, and they deserve the attention of all of our mayors and all of our people. But some of these issues we really need federal help on. The homelessness issue isn't going to be solved by one city, one state. It's going to be solved, or we're going to see some bigger impacts if the federal government gets involved and starts actually investing in building more housing, and second, approving more vouchers so that people can get housing. And the smash and grabs, the thefts that we're seeing where people just walk in, take stuff, unless there's a federal intervention in terms of these crime rings that cross state borders, we're going to keep going in circles trying to figure out who these culprits are. And unless the federal government gets a handle on the fentanyl epidemic that is not from across the border, but was created in this country, we're going to continue to see some of the things we see on our streets and the types of thefts that we see. These are all Republican mayors, Democratic mayors, every type of mayor from every size city across our nation who are expressing the exact same concerns that we're experiencing here in the city of Antioch.
Mm-hmm. Does that include police brutality and civil rights violations?
The police brutality, what is happening with that is that you're now starting to see more instances of officer-involved shootings of people who are unarmed or whatever in communities that you normally wouldn't have heard of. So you're seeing it more in the suburbs. And so it is not, again, what's happened here in Antioch isn't unique to Antioch.
Mm-hmm.
You're just seeing these types of instances. You know, I mean, some of the police shootings that we've seen related to unarmed Black men across our country, some of them have taken place in suburban communities that you would normally not see this type of stuff happen.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Y'all heard it.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all.
Thank you. And thank you all for tuning in. And I guess this is where we play this.
Know who your elected officials are. Register to vote.
Yes, indeed.
Yes. And same time next week, every Thursday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we'll see you soon. Thank you all.
The electeds want to join us. If y'all know anyone, send them our way.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.